Welcome to This Day in His Story, created by American Heritage Worldwide, a reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know that it's only possible to make whipped cream when the ingredients contain no less than 35% fat? Whip up a little something special, and don't forget to add sugar to recipes for milk snow from the 1600s. Everyone will want some, so be prepared to share when you scoop whipped cream onto your favorite drink or dessert.
Our mission here is to take those everyday items, things we often just overlook, and reveal the incredible layers of history, science, and sometimes, well, even a surprising bit of philosophy that's all woven into them.
All right.
And today, we're diving into the fluffy white world of whipped cream. We're anchoring this with a special date, January 5th, which is officially National Whipped Cream Day.
And for you, the learner who's sharing this deep dive with us, we're going to go far beyond, a simple food history lesson.
Much further.
We're going to use this topping that's everywhere as a lens to explore the democratization of luxury. We've taken your sources, and they span centuries, from old cookbooks to modern chemical patents, and we promise we're going to deliver some key nuggets of knowledge that'll redefine how you see that dollop on your dessert.
I mean, who hasn't had that moment? You've got your hot cocoa or a perfect slice of pie, and you add that crowning cloud of creaminess. It's just an instant elevation.
It is.
We want to know how that happens, why it holds its shape, and who we have to thank for the incredible convenience we all enjoy today.
Exactly. This simple dairy product connects the high culture of the Italian Renaissance, directly to the engineering ingenuity of post-war America. It really is a remarkable story of how effort and exclusivity gave way to speed and accessibility.
Okay, let's unpack this immediately. Let's start with the deep past.
Let's do it.
If you assumed whipped cream was a modern thing that came along with, say, the ice cream parlor, you'd be off by about 400 years.
Way off, yeah.
Our sources trace the earliest known recipes all the way back to the 16th century.
And that time period, the Renaissance, it's such crucial context. High-level cooking was a sign of wealth, of status. Kitchens weren't mechanized.
Right.
So producing something as light and airy as whipped cream, it required immense effort and time. This was not a casual topping.
And we see that specifically in the records. We're talking about Cristoforo di Messer's Bugo, a prominent Italian Renaissance cook. He documented a recipe in his famous cookbook.
Yes, and the way he described it, the final ingredient, is just so evocative.
What did he call it?
He called it milk snow.
Milk snow. I love that.
Think about that. To achieve that texture with 16th century tools, just a whisk or maybe like a bundle of reeds, it would have taken serious dedication.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't just about mixing ingredients. It was about transforming a basic component into something purely luxurious, ephemeral, and white as snow.
It just paints a picture of intense labor for a really small result, which is precisely what makes it a delicacy.
That's it.
And this sophistication, it quickly spread across borders, didn't it?
It did. By 1673, we find recipes recorded in both England and France. And in France, it earned this lovely enduring name, crème fouette.
Which just means...
It literally translates to whipped cream.
So for nearly 400 years, from those Italian kitchens to the grand tables of the French aristocracy, this was a handmade status symbol.
Absolutely. If you had crème fouette at your dinner party, you were making a statement.
But that kind of exclusivity, it couldn't last forever. As we move into the 20th century, we see the rise of an innovator whose whole goal was to just smash that barrier, to democratize that luxury.
And that's our guy.
That brings us squarely to the man whose birthday we celebrate on National Whipped Cream Day, January 5th, Aaron Bunny Lapin.
Lapin is the pivotal figure in this whole story. He looked at that centuries-old delicacy and he just asked, how do I make this accessible, stable, quick?
And the answer?
The aerosol can. Now, he didn't invent the can itself, but he mastered the technology needed to put a dairy product into it and, importantly, keep it fresh.
And the product that changed everything was Reddi-Wip, which he officially introduced in 1948. But what I find truly fascinating isn't just the invention, but the initial distribution strategy.
Oh, it's genius.
He used an almost archaic system to launch this cutting-edge product.
That distribution strategy, it speaks volumes about mid-century American consumer habits. So Lapin started selling the product in 1946. This is before the big Reddi-Wip launch. And he didn't target grocery stores first.
Where did he go?
He went straight to the milkman in the St. Louis area.
The milkman. So the same person who was already delivering fresh milk, butter and eggs right to your door every day
That same person.
is now handing you this newfangled can of ready-to-use whipped cream. So why the milkman? Why not the new supermarkets that were popping up everywhere?
It was brilliant for two main reasons. First, logistics. I mean, whipped cream is dairy.
It needs to stay cold.
And the milkman already had the established cold chain. That was a huge hurdle for early canned dairy goods, and he just solved it. But second, and maybe more important, was trust. Customers trusted their milkman. This new weird product was instantly given credibility because it was handed over by a familiar face.
That integration must have allowed it to spread like wildfire.
It did. The sources note that distribution just stoked. It quickly expanded throughout the United States and Canada. But what's really compelling about Aaron Lapin's vision is the company behind it all, a Clayton Corporation.
Right. We associate them with this treat.
We do, but Clayton was also one of the first companies to put shaving cream into an aerosol can.
Okay, that dual application is so revealing. That sets up such a powerful theme for our whole discussion.
It really
He
did.
used the exact same revolutionary technology, the aerosol can, to solve two completely different problems. The chore of getting ready for the day with shaving foam.
And the effort of preparing a dessert with whipped cream, it connects necessity and indulgence.
Wow.
The aerosol can in Lapin's hands became the ultimate symbol of convenience. It took the effort out of, both the utilitarian morning routine and that moment of pure pleasure in the evening. It changed the consumer landscape permanently.
That convenience, of course, is all chemistry. So let's step away from the 20th century innovators for a moment and look at the science of why this holds its shape at all.
The fun part.
When we look at that perfect swirl, that beautiful fluffy structure, what is the underlying chemistry making that possible?
Well, the science is actually quite specific, and it all begins with the composition of the cream itself. To get that stability and volume that we associate with whipped cream, the base ingredient, the cream, it must contain no less than 35% fat.
So you can't cheat the system. No low-fat cream, no milk.
You can't. The fat is structurally necessary.
How does that work?
So we're dealing with what chemists call a foam, which is a type of emulsion. If you look at liquid heavy cream, it's just thousands of tiny fat globules suspended in water. When you start beating it with a whisk, a mixer, or the pressure from an aerosol can, you introduce air.
And the fat globules, what do?
They behave wonderfully. As you agitate the liquid, the fat globules partially break down and they start clumping together, and they wrap themselves around the tiny air bubbles you're forcing in.
So they're building something.
They are literally creating a stable, interconnected structural lattice, a framework that traps the air and stops it from escaping. If you don't have enough fat, that framework just collapses.
Yeah.
And you get soup.
Which explains why the temperature is so critical, doesn't it? You always hear that the cream, the bowl, everything has to be cold.
Absolutely. The cold temperature is required because it keeps those fat globules in a solid, rigid state.
Ah, so if it warms up.
If the cream warms up, the fat softens, the structure becomes too flexible, and that beautiful lattice just breaks down almost instantly. That's why professional kitchens use chilled bowls, chilled whisks. You are constantly fighting entropy to maintain that delicate foam structure.
And while the fat does all the structural work, we often enhance the experience with flavor.
Right. You have the structural base, but the flavor is where the art comes in. Simple additions like sugar, a touch of vanilla extract, those are the classics.
Sure.
But the sources also mention flavorings like coconut or almond, which lets you tailor the topping to whatever dessert you're serving. It transforms a functional foam into a culinary masterpiece.
Which brings us to the application. Whipped cream transforms a dessert or a hot drink into what the source material calls a work of art.
The final flourish.
It's the visual flair, the final touch. But for the learner who wants to connect back to that ancient hand-whisking tradition, or maybe just needs fresh whipped cream fast, the sources offer a really memorable DIY hack.
This is a great piece of practical knowledge, and it beautifully illustrates the principles we just discussed, but without any fancy equipment.
So what do?
If you want homemade whipped cream fast, you grab a chilled mason jar.
I love that this relies on something almost everyone has in their kitchen.
It does. You fill that chilled jar about halfway with cold, high-fat cream. Crucially, you put the lid back on and you just shake it vigorously.
So what you're doing inside that jar is exactly what a mixer does.
Exactly. You're rapidly introducing air while keeping the temperature low.
And the sealed jar, I guess that helps keep it cold and contains the mess.
Totally. It maximizes the agitation without getting cream all over your kitchen.
How does the texture compare to, say, the aerosol can version?
The difference is really striking. Aerosol cream is often very light, almost foamy. That's because the gas they use, nitrous oxide, dissolves into the fat and expands instantly when it's released.
Creating tiny bubbles.
Tiny, uniform bubbles. But hand-whipped or jar-shaken cream results in a richer, slightly denser texture. The air pockets are larger, more irregular. It gives you a more substantial, rustic feel that sort of echoes those early creme fouette preparations.
It connects you right back to that 16th century effort.
Yeah.
Just, simplified by using a jar instead of a primitive whisk.
Right.
Now let's make a deliberate turn here because the source material does something really unique. It transitions from this idea of culinary enrichment, the way whipped cream enhances a dessert, to the idea of spiritual enrichment.
And this is where we shift perspective entirely. We've established that whipped cream adds value, complexity, pleasure to food. The insight presented is that the act of enrichment is important across all aspects of life.
It's a metaphor.
It is. Just as this physical addition transforms a dessert, seeking spiritual or philosophical insight transforms your life experience.
So it's about moving beyond simple consumption, whether that's food or knowledge, and focusing on gaining value. The sources draw a very specific parallel using text.
Right. If you simply read a text, whether it's an academic work, a philosophical treatise, a scripture, that's the cake. That's the base material.
Okay.
But when you actively seek out and internalize deeper meaning, critical insights, or what the source calls spiritual insights, you are adding the metaphorical whipped cream. You're enriching that consumption experience, making it fuller, more delightful, and more memorable.
So you're taking the foundational substance and giving it an elevated layer of meaning and enjoyment. It's really an encouragement toward active reflection rather than just passive acceptance.
Exactly. And to make this actionable for you, the sources provide a very clear call to the listener.
What's the call to action?
The call is to share a favorite text. And that could be a specific scripture, a poem, a philosophical quote, anything that has genuinely enriched your life with a family member.
And the key is not just to share it.
The key is to discuss how that insight has enriched you. It's an exercise in sharing and applying that deeper layer of knowledge. It encourages you to become a conduit for enrichment, just like Aaron Lapin made a rich dessert accessible to everyone.
It's a wonderful, unexpected place to land when we started with a discussion of 35% fat content.
Isn't it?
It really is. So we've traced this simple topping from 16th century milk snow, hard-won delicacy, to the mid-20th century convenience of the aerosol can. We've understood the molecular science, the DIY potential, and its surprising metaphorical depth. So what does this all mean for us today?
Well, I think it means that every time you dispense that delightful swirl, you're touching a product that represents centuries of culinary evolution and a massive leap in chemical engineering. It's a full circle journey, from creme fouette requiring all that elbow grease to a product that's available to everyone every day.
And here is the final provocative thought for you to mull over next time you reach for that can, maybe on January 5th, National Whipped Cream Day. Remember that Aaron Lapin's Clayton Corporation applied the exact same aerosol technology to both shaving cream, a utilitarian product to solve a chore, and whipped cream, a product of pure, delightful pleasure. What does that dual focus tell us about the core purpose of mid-20th century technological innovation? Was it primarily driven by making necessary tasks easier, or by making luxury universally accessible?
And think about how that convenience not only saves time, but how it radically shifts what we perceive as exclusive, turning a Renaissance luxury into a pantry staple.
Something to ponder as you enjoy your next moment of delicious, effortless indulgence.
Thank you for joining us for this day in His story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in His story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the homeschool for faith and family.